NFL Week 6 top 5 player props to bet this weekend. I'm John Kelly. Let's hear the picks. First up, I like Justin Jefferson over 85.5 receiving yards. He has double-digit targets in 4 of 5 games this season. He has 301 receiving yards over his last 2 games, and now he gets a favorable matchup against a Miami secondary that's riddled with injuries. They've been getting torched all season long. I really think Justin Jefferson goes over 100 yards and certainly hits this mark of over 85.5 receiving yards this week. Up next, we're looking at the New England Patriots backfield as Damian Harris is expected to be out this weekend. He left last week's game due to injury, and they turned to Ramondre Stevenson. I like his over 76.5 rushing yards. This is a mark that he's almost hit multiple times while splitting work with Damian Harris. Like I said, Harris exited last week's game. He rushed 25 times for 161 rushing yards. I think the matchup is excellent against Cleveland. They're slight underdogs in this spot, but Cleveland's been giving up 5.9 yards per carry. It's among the worst in the NFL against opposing running backs. So I really like Ramondre Stevenson this weekend. I think the volume is there, and I think he goes over 76.5 rushing yards. And up next, we're going with another running back. I like Breece Hall over 19.5 receiving yards this weekend. This is a mark that he's hit 3 out of 5 times this season, but we've seen over the last couple weeks, he's really taken an increased role in that backfield. He's overtaken Michael Carter as the clear lead back, and you would expect that trend to continue for a rookie with talent like Breece Hall. He's had 19 targets over his last 3 games combined, only 2 last week, but they played from ahead pretty much the entire time. Now he gets a favorable matchup against the Green Bay Packers, who cannot stop bleeding yards to running backs, giving up over 140 total yards to opposing running backs per game this season. So I think in a game script where the Jets are playing from behind, I think Breece Hall is going to be heavily involved, not just in the run game, but in the pass game as well. And I expect him to go over 19.5 receiving yards. Up next, we're looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers pass catchers. I like Mike Evans over 67.5 receiving yards. He gets an excellent matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers that have been getting absolutely torched by opposing wide receivers all season long, and specifically coming off last week where Gabriel Davis was able to catch over 160 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. This is a mark that Mike Evans has hit 4 out of 5 games this season. The only time he didn't go over this number was the game against the Saints, where he got tossed in that game, and he still almost went over this mark. He's averaging 10.9 yards per target this season. He is the main beneficiary of all of these deep throws by Tom Brady, and they're letting Brady drop back and throw more than enough this season. They basically abandoned the run game. So I think it's an excellent matchup to target these pass catchers. And specifically, I like Mike Evans to go over 67.5 receiving yards. Which brings us to the marquee game on the slate. The Buffalo Bills are heading to Arrowhead Stadium to take on the Kansas City Chiefs in what should be absolute fireworks from the very beginning. Every time these people play each other, it just seems to pop off just about every single time. I like Josh Allen to go over 27.5 fantasy points. This one's available on Prize Picks. He's beat this mark in all but 1 career games against Kansas City here. Kansas City is also giving up the 7th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks, and we know the Buffalo Bills are going to keep their foot on the gas pedal, whether they're playing from behind or ahead, and Josh Allen just has so much of the touchdown equity coming through him in the red zone that I think he goes over this mark at a high clip. So I like Josh Allen over 27.5 fantasy points this week. So you can bet these props individually. If you're on Prize Picks, you can parlay them up as well. Get a nice little bonus there. As always, guys, appreciate the support. Best of luck, and we'll see you guys next time.